Well, I think it's fair to say that the past 24 hours in the world of Def Noodles have definitely been a bit interesting. I'll be honest, my video today was going to be something completely different to this situation, but within the last 24 hours, we have seen Def Noodles assault someone at his own comedy show, we've seen his ex-employee come out and expose him for bad work environments, and he's also lied and potentially scammed people with a show that didn't even exist. Now we're gonna get into everything in this video, but let's start off with the second super roast battle by Def Noodles. Yes, you might have seen my previous video on Dennis, where we spoke about his first super roast battle, which, let's be honest, was a bit of a failure. It was supposed to be a stand-up show, a bit of a roast battle if you will, where they would come with some really hard-hitting lines like, "Are you from Detroit?" or "You look like my cousin if he were a girl." So when you combine the really unfunny jokes with the fact that the audience were completely silent throughout the entirety of the show, and on top of that, the fact that everybody who watched it online thought it was a disaster from start to finish, you would think that Dennis would maybe think twice about doing the show again. But no, he thought it'd be a good idea to host a second event, and to be fair, he probably regrets that decision now. But this show did have some very iconic moments. One of my personal favourites, which is severely underrated in my eyes, is when Def Noodles said that the Twitch chat was moving too quick for him to read.
Alright, we gotta start reading out the other people who won Def Noodles. Oh shit, this shit's moving way too fast, I can't keep up. Anyway,
it's slow.
Let's keep it rolling.
It's very slow.
It's literally moving like one comment per 5 seconds. I'm sure you could read it, Dennis. I mean, for someone who literally uses a teleprompter in his videos, you would think he'd be able to keep up. But I mean, I'm not here to judge his reading skills. But I think everybody knows exactly which moment of this show I'm going to talk about next, because a person actually showed up to this show called Salvo, who is part of the Red Bar YouTube channel. I'll be honest, I'm not exactly aware of who he is, but he definitely made an impact. He was basically there with the intentions to kind of ruin the show for Dennis. I know he was invited and he was meant to do a roast with Dennis himself, but he did go a bit over the top in my opinion. But nowhere near as over the top as the actions we then saw from Def Noodles himself when he came out to his show and decided to straight up assault Salvo. Now, there are many things that irritate me about this clip. The first one being, why are you putting your hands on him in the first place? Yes, I get the guy is being annoying and he's trying to sabotage the show and whatnot, but if you don't want him there, kick him out. You literally have security. Second point being, why are you pushing him from behind? Like, if you're gonna push him at all, at least do a face-to-face if you're gonna try and be all macho about it. Third point being, if you are gonna try and act like this hard nut, why are you then hiding behind a security guard? Like, I'm not expecting Dennis to be a professional MMA fighter or anything, although he is probably more likely to be that than a comedian. But you're the one who pushed him, so you can't then hide behind a security guard. I'm sorry, that's just bitch behaviour. Now, a lot of people make a joke saying that this is YouTube's version of Will Smith and Chris Rock at the Oscars. And with Def Noodles uploading videos daily talking about the news and the drama and whatnot, I was actually quite curious to see what he said at the time of the Will Smith incident at the Oscars, and you can't make this shit up.
Will Smith looks like a fucking loser who can't take a fucking joke. Chris Rock was there doing a job. Was the joke on Jada bad? Yes, it was an awful fucking joke. It was absolutely uncalled for. But you know what's even more uncalled for? Getting smacked around because you're doing your fucking job. No need to fucking assault someone on international television because you didn't like the fucking joke.
Ah, so Def Noodles not practicing what he preaches, eh? Imagine my shock. But yeah, little conclusion on the second roast battle situation. I don't actually think Salvo is as innocent as what most people seem to be saying. He was there just to be a nuisance. He did say some stuff that I heavily disagree with as well, but he shouldn't have been pushed, okay? We can all agree on that, surely. I think one thing that does make the push seem even worse is the fact that Salvo was invited by Def Noodles. He was invited to roast Def Noodles. Now, although he wasn't doing it at the part of the show that he was supposed to be doing it at, Def Noodles got pissed off over words. Like, that's something that he should be against as a comedian. It feels weird to me that I'm even calling Def Noodles a comedian, but I'm just trying to respect the fact that this is something he wants to do with his life and has apparently been doing it for like 15 years now, or At least he says he has anyways. Now the reason why I'm starting to doubt the fact that Def Noodles has been doing stand-up for 15 years isn't because I don't find him funny, it isn't because there's only like one previous clip I've ever seen of Def Noodles doing stand-up. It's actually because it seems like Def Noodles was caught lying yesterday, saying he was performing at a stand-up show, and it turns out he was never supposed to be there.
But the roast battles yesterday were absolutely amazing, the greatest ones we've ever done. And you're never going to believe what I did right afterwards. I ended up driving immediately to Las Vegas because I'm doing a show with the great TJLT at the LA Comedy Club. You can get your tickets right now to watch this show. It's going to be an amazing show over at the LA Comedy Club with the great TJLT. You don't want to miss out. It's at 11:30 p.m. in Las Vegas. A lot of fun. Check it out. Get your tickets now.
And he actually accompanied this video with a link to buy tickets to see his show. Now the problem was, when you clicked on the link, it said the tickets weren't available. And on top of that, these tickets were for sale on Eventbrite, which is a site that comedy club doesn't actually use to sell tickets. Oh, also on top of that, which is something that I noticed, which some people are going to say isn't enough evidence, but I mean, look at the poster that is linked to that website. You really think any reputable business are going to promote an event with a poster that is edited as bad as that? Now, even though I think the poster is enough evidence to prove that Def Noodles is lying, there is some more evidence which you might think is more credible, I guess, but a YouTuber called Augie actually rang the comedy club itself and asked if Def Noodles would be performing, and you'll never guess what the answer was.
Yo, what's up? So I'm calling to ask if I heard this guy Dennis Feitosa was performing tonight at 11:30, but I clicked on the Eventbrite link to buy tickets and it says the event is unavailable.
Yeah, he's not performing. I've never heard of the guy.
Wait, so you're telling me that a reputable comedy business hasn't heard of the great comedian Def Noodles? Nah, they must be joking.
Yeah, I'm confused myself. I've gotten like 2 calls about this guy. I've never heard of him.
Oh yeah, remember that piece of information, by the way. The comedy club received 2 calls about Def Noodles. That'll be important a little later. Now, after Augie posted this video basically just exposing Def Noodles, obviously a bunch of people were tweeting at Def Noodles being like, why would you lie about something like that? It's just extremely pathetic. Then lo and behold, Def Noodles deleted the tweet to this event, which was never an event in the first place. Oh, also, quick shout out to Jesse Smiles, by the way, for telling me that I've been saying lo and behold wrong this whole time. I feel like my life has been a lie.
And you know who still does that? Markie. If you don't know Markie, go on his channel. He says long behold.
But to me, this didn't even happen. But long behold, it did happen.
I'm like, brother, that is not correct.
I will say that.
But back to Dennis, this is of course the moment when the excuses start rolling in. So Def Noodles tweeted out saying they cancelled the whole show because they got over 300 calls from incels all around the world clenching their buttholes about me performing. Don't worry though, I'll be back. 300 calls, apparently, even though the guy who literally works at the comedy club said that they received 2 calls?
I've gotten like 2 calls about this guy. I've never heard of him.
Also, I believe one of the other calls was from Chris Diorio, who was another YouTuber who was just trying to find out if this is true. So, no one was really complaining. He's just lying here. Also, let's be honest here, if they had to cancel a show that they sold tickets to, they would have to announce it somewhere. And guess what? They didn't announce it anywhere. And although it is extremely embarrassing that Def Noodles was kind of caught lying about this show that was never going to happen to try and make him seem more credible as a comedian, I think the good news is that no one actually bought any tickets. Because like I said, when you click the link, it said the event wasn't available, so I'm hoping it was like that the whole time, and he didn't just scam people, which, I mean, I wouldn't put it past him at this point. But like I briefly mentioned earlier, this has now got me thinking, has Def Noodles really been in the comedy scene for this long? Because to be honest, I did kind of believe that he was trying to do comedy his whole life, and he did go to these open mic nights, and even though he did perform on stage, he just wasn't ever good. But with him now seemingly lying about performing at a show yesterday, and also the fact that he lied about his age, which got exposed a few weeks ago, I'm now thinking, what else did he lie about? Like, maybe the reason why he's not funny, and the reason why he seems so awkward on stage, and the reason why we've only ever seen one clip of him doing stand-up previous to this roast battle that he made up himself, is the fact that he's never actually done stand-up before. I mean, that would make sense, right? I don't know, I guess that's probably not a shock to most people, but I genuinely believe that he was trying to do stand-up his whole life. He was just really shit at it. But let's move on to Def Noodles' ex-employee, Tiana. Tiana is one of the people that Def Noodles introduced into his videos over the past couple of months. She was seen doing some like really awkward skits that Dennis made her do, and she was also like a camera woman for Def Noodles. She like recorded his Burning Man video, recorded his Ace Fest video as well, I believe. Well, she has now quit working for Def Noodles, which, by the way, congratulations. I'm glad you've now got your sanity back. But she has also came out publicly and described her experiences working with Dennis.
Yeah, I quit my job because, I'll make a story time about it, but my boss is like kind of like crazy and it was just not a good work environment.
Def Noodles being labelled as crazy and having a bad work environment? God, this video's full of surprises. So far we've learnt that Def Noodles lies a lot, doesn't practice what he preaches, and is a little crazy. I mean, fucking hell, I can't believe this personally.
And then he took me to Burning Man with no fucking water or preparation at all.
Now this is interesting that Tiana actually brings this up, because Def Noodles did actually upload a video at Burning Man, and he even expressed himself how unprepared they were.
We're lost in the middle of the fucking desert. I just realized we came really awfully prepared for this. I have one bottle of water that I bought at the airport. That's what we have. We have no food. Nothing else. It's starting to feel like a bad idea.
So not only did he come fully unprepared and didn't bring any water to a desert, which I feel like is the first thing you should think of, him and Tiana also just slept in his car overnight in the desert with no water.
We slept in this beast. Got us through the night. Holy fucking shit, I feel like I dislocated my shoulder. This was the worst decision to sleep in this. Should have brought some kind of other sleeping method.
Really? Should have brought some of a sleeping method. I mean, silly Dennis. I mean, like, poor Tiana. Like, Dennis is doing this for his own video, okay? He's probably passionate about making this content or whatever else, but Tiana's just an employee. She doesn't deserve to go through shit like this.
I was like, I didn't really publicize that I worked for him, but people found out, but like, I didn't really like make a point to share that, so a lot of people didn't even know who I worked for.
Yeah, and I think that's for good reason, isn't it? Like, if I had to work for Def Noodles, I also wouldn't want anyone to know. But yeah, I mean, let me know in the comment section down below just how surprised you are with the information that I've mentioned today. I imagine everyone is in absolute disbelief. It just isn't shocking, is it? Unfortunately, but hopefully with all this stuff happening, Dennis might be able to look at himself in the mirror and realise what he is doing is just completely destroying his own career. A career that was going exceptionally well, by the way. I mean, he has over 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. He was averaging like 130,000 views a video at least. Like, he was making good money. And through no one else's fault other than his own, he's just destroying his business, his career, his livelihood. Like, it's actually quite sad to see, but it's like, he only has himself to blame. But yeah, either way, like I said, let me know your opinions on everything we spoke about in today's video. If you did enjoy, please do a like down below. Subscribe if you are new as well. Also, follow me on Instagram if you want to let me know any topics to talk about in future videos. I pretty much check my DMs daily to see what you guys want me to talk about. And yeah, until the next one, I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, goodbye.